Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a card which I think needs to be reprinted. And we're going to look at what would happen to the Pokemon trading card game at the moment if that was to happen. The card in question is Crystal Beach, and I cannot take really much of the credit for coming up with this idea, because you see, Kevin Murphy suggested this idea on Facebook back in January 2016. I came across that post this morning and I thought, you know what? That is a really interesting idea and I would like to consider it further. We haven't done many what if this was reprinted videos, maybe not any, but I think this is a special case. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, hang on a second, Ross. Things don't just disappear for years and then get reprinted. But they really do. I'm not going to give you every example, that would take forever. But how about N? Now, Rocket's admin did the exact same thing as N. Rocket's admin came out in November 2004. Never got a reprint. Went out. And then in November 2011, 7 years later, we got our first reprint. Want something a little bit more extreme? How about Double Colorless Energy, which came around in the base set and then ran away for a while, for a very, very long time, and then it came back and shook up the format when it was released in Heart Gold Soul Silver in February 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, this does happen. I'd like it to happen for Crystal Beach. I suppose at this stage I should probably tell you what Crystal Beach actually does. It is a stadium card. And it says that each special energy that provides 2 or more energy now only provides 1 colorless energy. It means there are no double energies. Now, there are 3 energies that would be affected by this. First of all, we've got double colorless energy, which is huge for stuff like Zoroark, which we will get to in a moment. Secondly, we've got counter energy, which provides 2 of any energy, or indeed any 2 energy, when attached to a non-EX, non-GX when you're behind on prizes. We've got super boost energy Prism Star, which provides any 4 energy when attached to a stage 2, if you've got at least 3 stage 2s in play. And if you go into the expanded format, we've got double dragon energy, which is any 2 energy for a dragon Pokemon. Now, back in the day, we had some potentially more extreme ones. We had scramble energy, and we had double rainbow energy, and all sorts of fun cards. But I'm not worried about the old, I am worried about the current and the new. So what would happen if we actually got Crystal Beach and brought it back? Well, first things first, double colorless energy would be the biggie here. Double colorless energy is absolutely huge. And let's take Zoroark GX. Now, Zoroark GX is the best Pokemon in the format at the moment. Riotous Beating does 20 damage for each Pokemon you've got in play, 120 damage if you've got a full bench. Now, this is important because it's a single energy attack, which means you can use double colorless. When I say single energy, I mean 1 energy attachment. It's a 2 energy attack, which you can pay with double colorless energy. And this is a very good attack, but having just a single energy attachment really helps, because you can use stuff like Ace Roller. Ace Roller allows you to pick up a damaged Pokemon. Now, if you've got multiple energy attachments to attack, you can't do this, because you pick up one Pokemon, but you cannot get another Pokemon up to speed fast enough, and you end up healing but not being able to attack, and Ace Roller doesn't do much good. But now, with double colorless energy, you can just pick it up, reuse it, and people do all the time. Ace Roller sees a lot of play with Zoroark. But it's not just Zoroark. Take something like Golisopod GX, which is, of course, often played with Zoroark. Well, Golisopod does 150 for a grass double colorless, so generally you use First Impression for 1 energy, then you attach a double colorless, use Crossing Cut, and you're, well, getting a 1-hit KO on something like a Drampa, as long as you use something like a Choice Band. Okay, it's really good, and it's only there because of double colorless. One more example just to prove my point. Gardevoir GX. This has the Infinite Force attack, which does 30 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. So you use double colorless energy here, and it basically allows you to do an extra 60 damage. Now, you may have noticed here that the examples I'm tending to give are GX Pokemon. They are the problem here if we suggest there is a problem. So let's take the other Zoroark, the non-GX. It too can attack for a double colorless energy, and it does 10 damage plus 30 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. The thing is, you can stop this by controlling your bench, and Zoroark's got 100 HP, so it's going to get KO'd really easily, so you don't really need to worry about it anywhere near as much. Whereas Zoroark GX, unless you're playing something like a Lycanroc, you're going to be struggling to get a one-hit KO here, which opens up all kinds of ace roller shenanigans. Similarly, Counter Energy. I adore Counter Energy. Counter Energy is absolutely brilliant for Pokemon like Persimmon, who really rely on double colorless, so you can use a couple Counter Energy to help, or a Pokemon like Empoleon from Ultra Prism, who can attack for 1 Counter Energy. The thing is, Counter Energy, it's any 2 energy, but you've got to be behind on prizes, and it's got to be attached to a non-EX, non-GX Pokemon. This sounds completely and utterly sensible. And people use this for tech options. They use it to play stuff like Cobalion, so that they can get some extra damage depending on how many prizes your opponent has taken. Or the Sudowoodo from Breakpoint, which is really nice with a watch and learn attack, which is just for 1 Counter Energy. The thing is, this really makes us build our decks a little bit differently, and it makes us rely on slightly weaker Pokemon, lower HP, generally slightly weaker attack, so you give a little bit of a boost. And this is essentially where I'm going with this. I think Counter Energy is absolutely fine, and I don't think double colorless energy is a huge problem, but I think double colorless energy leads some EXs and GXs to just be a little bit too easy to use. And I think bringing back Crystal Beach would be a lot of fun, and I think it would shake up the meta in a good way. It wouldn't make Zoroark rubbish, because it's not like you couldn't use a double colorless, you just couldn't use a double colorless when Crystal Beach was in play. So you play your own stadium, maybe something like a Devoured Field. You get rid of Crystal Beach, you're off to go. Or you just go back to our old friend Field Blower. Get rid of their stadium, and you're off. Bringing back Crystal Beach wouldn't all of a sudden get rid of stuff like Zoroark and Gardevoir. It would make them a bit less powerful, making people think a little bit more about whether they want to use these big GXs, and maybe pushing some people towards some non-EX, non-GX decks, some slightly slower decks, some more setup-focused decks, which could potentially give us a bit of a more fun format. That's not to say double colorless is breaking the game, although when double colorless was reprinted in Heart Gold Soul Silver, it basically made Garchomp absolutely over the top great, because at the time you also had energy gain, so energy gain plus double colorless, and you were attacking. I'm not saying double colorless is broken, but I am saying that if we look at a lot of the Pokemon that are really good right now, like Zoroark, Golisopod, Gardevoir, etc., we do see a whole bunch of Pokemon that are attacking for a double colorless energy. And I think bringing in Crystal Beach could be fun, but I would want it with a revision. I would want it to only affect EX and GX Pokemon. So my reprint would read, each special energy card that provides 2 or more energy and is attached to an EX or GX Pokemon now provides only 1 colorless energy. That way, Counter Energy is unaffected, and your non-GXs can use double colorless energy. Think of something like Persimmon, for instance, which would just be flat out not viable if Crystal Beach came around too heavily. But it does neuter stuff like Zoroark. Now, in terms of Super Boost Energy, that is a really difficult one to use. It's kind of a little bit broken with Gardevoir, but it's not proving so at the moment. I have no big problem with Super Boost Energy, but I would like Crystal Beach to come back. I don't want an exact reprint, though. I want a reprint that only affects EXs and GXs. And this is another one of those topics where I want your opinion, ladies and gentlemen. I think bringing this back slightly altered would be fun and would make the format more interesting, but what do you think? Do you want it back? Do you want an alternate wording, or do you want it exactly? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, which is where you can do that. Do check out my other channel, Wassy Plays. There's some Dragon Ball Super content on there and some video game content. Check it out. I would be delighted. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.